It is an amazing day, alhamdulillah, to be with you here on Salaam Ummah, Ummah TV. I am Lubnah Jubril, and yes, I have my co-presenter with me here.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. It's a beautiful day. Welcome to the show. It's Salaam Ummah on Ummah TV, like she rightly said. My name is Ibrahim Lawal, and today we'll be looking at a very interesting topic, which of course concerns all of us. Islam is blessed, and we have vast areas that we just cannot cover in a matter of years. Islam is the way of life, they say. All right, today we'll be looking at what it means to say Qur'an is a living miracle. But before we go, other segments,
personal finance, quotes from the Hadith and
the Qur'an. Inshallah. We'll be right back after this time out. Don't go away.
Thank you very much for staying tuned to Salaam Ummah. It's the focal point segment. We have USTAZ JAMAAL SHEETH. He's no stranger, so I'm very familiar with him. And I don't know how this is going to go, but the question or the topic for today again is, what does it mean to say Quran is a living miracle?
Apparently, you didn't finish the introduction. You just said he's no stranger to you.
Yes.
To the viewers, he might be. So
welcome. He is the supervising producer, Ummah TV.
All right.
Now you know why I said he's no stranger.
He's no stranger to us, actually.
Yeah.
And we're privileged to have a learned person, but I don't know why they just said Ustad. He's actually an imam. Is it full imam or acting imam or deputy imam?
Okay, I'm actually deputy imam of Barua Central Mosque.
Which mosque?
Barua Central Mosque, my neighborhood. So the Central Mosque.
Okay. Where's Barua?
Barua is in close to Ipaja. Pretty much if you're familiar with Lagos. Go on Estate.
Okay, right. Okay. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And it's interesting, the topic we're dealing here, it's an open-ended. It depends on where you want to look at it from, but it's very interesting because today people claim they do miracles. And you just wonder if these miracles are real. For us Muslims, we know that every day of our lives is a miracle. Yeah. We know that Allah, in His infinite mercy, performs His miracle on us, even if you step out of your house. That's why for Muslims it's good to always recite prayers. I'm sure you would tell us some of those prayers because people watching would want to know. Prayers when we go out, prayers when everything that we do, we recite prayers, because these are the things that in His infinite mercy brings about this same miracle we're talking about. But we don't want to jump the gun. You are the expert here, and we want you to tell us. The topic is, what does it mean to say Quran is a living miracle? Is it even correct? That statement, is it correct?
I think it's very, very correct.
Okay.
Matter of fact, too correct in a sense. So let's look at it historically, right? Most prophets, Allah sends prophets throughout history, to different nations. Allah says in the Quran that there's no nation that He hasn't sent a prophet to, whether they lived on a mountaintop, or they lived in a valley, or they went to the desert, or they were in the deep forest. So because of that, prophets have been coming to humanity to pretty much remind them their duties to God and their duties to fellow humans. That's very important. So that's pretty much the foundation of the prophetic messages across the ages. Now, when Allah sends a prophet to a people, it comes to some things called mu'jiza. Mu'jiza are like miracles. Because sometimes people say, well, you're a prophet, what is your credential? You get, how can we believe you're a prophet? Do things that nobody can do. So that's what the mu'jiza are intended for, the miracle is intended for. Not just to humor the people, but to pretty much entrench their faith in the prophet more. To have them believe that this prophet really is a prophet of God.
Okay. Jamal, not to cut you, give us an example of these miracles.
There's quite copies of them, examples of the Quran.
With prophets.
With prophets, pretty much the case of Musa splitting the Red Sea. The 9 plagues that was against the Egyptians at the time. The floods, the dying of the children, quite a number of things. So, and in the case of Prophet Muhammad also, Prophet Muhammad's miracles, on the other hand, is in 10 volumes. But the thing is, Islam is not a religion that places so much premise on miracles because people can be deceived from them. And so because of that, Allah throughout history has been sending prophets to different people with miracles. Because people ask them and say, okay, you're a prophet, what can you use to prove that you're a prophet? So because of that, Allah sends His miracles, but Allah sends this miracle custom made for the people. So how is that? Whatever it is you pride yourself in as a nation, as a people, Allah sends a miracle that supersedes that. Okay, let's go back to the story of Moses. Moses was sent to a people who were steeped in magic. Matter of fact, the word magic or magi comes from the title of their priests at the time. The Egyptian priests were called magis.
Magis.
So magi, yeah, M-A-G-I. So the magic came from that term as well. So when Moses was going to be sent to the people, he came with miracles that were magical. You get, so when he threw his staff, it became a snake.
Yeah.
He went and put his hand in his pocket, brought it out, it was white. You get, split the rest. These are magical things that people. So by the time he and the sorcerers came head to head, you know, his miracle trumped theirs. So that's how they could believe and say, well, we believe in Moses, you know, because this thing he's done is pretty much interesting.
Another thing, quickly now. Have you ever thought about the fact that magic, miracle?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Okay, there's a difference. Okay, let me just put it this way. Magic are done to humor the people, to entertain, to prove a point that's not necessary. Miracle are things that are unplanned. Okay. Sometimes miracles happen to a prophet that they didn't even know was going to happen. It just happened in the spur of the moment. It wasn't like, come and see this, we're going to do this here. It wasn't a call for performance. It wasn't like, oh, let's advertise this and people come say it. Miracles are not planned. You don't plan a miracle. It happens because miracles are supposed to help fill a void. Maybe, for instance, now that's because of Isa ibn Maryam. Although this miracle is not in the Qur'an, but it's something that's within the scale of what could have happened when he walked on the water. He was going to go get somewhere. Someone who was on the sea. It wasn't just because he wanted to show off. It was a necessity. He needed to get somewhere.
Yeah.
The case of the woman who came to him and said, please, heal me, I'm suffering. He didn't plan to meet the woman. She didn't plan to meet him. It was on the spur of the moment. So miracles are not things that are planned, or you call for advertisement and say, people come and see us perform this. You don't plan a miracle. You don't plan it. You don't organize it. It happens on the spur of the moment, and that's where you can tell the difference. Magicians, on the other hand, will call for a party. You know, come and join us here. We're doing this. I want to show you that God exists, but you don't have to call people to see that. And even prophets don't go around saying they want to perform miracles. It just happens on the spur of the moment. You get, for instance, the case of Isa ibn Maryam, where he raised the dead.
Yeah,
it was because his friend died, and he was out on the journey, and then he got back and said, Lazarus, your friend had died. And he wanted to raise him back. So it wasn't like it was planned. I was going to kill Lazarus and come back to raise him. No. So that's how we know miracles happen on the spur of the moment. Magic, on the other hand, are pre-organized and orchestrated.
Okay, where does the issue of myth fall in between magic and miracle?
I think myths largely could have been a miracle that happened, but over the years have been expounded and people have developed them to stories. You know, let's look at African culture, for instance. There's a lot about oral traditions. You know, most of the things are not written down. And when you transmit a message from someone to someone, before you know it, 2 generations down the line, the story has changed. So it becomes a myth. Let's give an example. There's a popular case of Shango, who was a fire-breathing man at the time. Possibly there was no fire involved. It was just generations after generations, this one adding and subtracting. I know what they say about the voice of rumors feed on 2 things, on distortion and exaggeration.
Exaggeration, yeah.
So when they largely based on oral traditions, people tend to change this message over time. So as I was saying earlier concerning the prophet, the miracles are pretty much designed for what the people prided themselves in. Let's look at, I mentioned Moses earlier. Let's look at Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus Christ. At the time, the Romans, who were the colonizers of the Jews, prided themselves in medicine. So they say they were the Hellenistic medicine at the time. They believed that they were the most advanced when it comes to medicine in the world. The miracles he performed were medicinal miracles, like healing the leper, like giving the sight to the blind, raising the dead. These are things that had to do with health miracles, medicine.
That is happening today.
That's happening today. So pretty much the same thing. So miracles are designed for the people. Allah tells them that you think you are best at it, but look at something better than what you can do. So that way it's easy for them to believe. In the case of the Qur'an, coming back to Qur'an being a modern miracle, and it will always be a modern miracle, because the Arabs prided themselves in language. Now, interestingly, the Arabic language is one of the most effusive languages in the world because it's very expressive on some of the terms. Let me give you an example. The words for lion in Arabic, there are 10 words for lion in Arabic. 10 words.
What's one?
There's Namr, there's Asad, there's Fahad.
Yeah, I know of Asad.
There's
I
Fahad.
know Asad too. Fahad.
So Fahad also means
It means a lion. Again. So the point I'm making is the language is very effusive and quite wide. The Arabs could, at the time, even up till now, can drop poetry at the drop of a hat. Like, just drop it, they'll drop it, plain and simple. And the language was very, very effusive. So when the Quran was revealed, they were just, at odds, and we were wondering, this language, we know it, but the style has been used, we don't understand it. So there was this popular man called Walid bin Mughira, who was like the let's say, the professorship, or the highest of the poets at the time. And then he was called by the Meccan chiefs and say, you know one thing, Muhammad has been saying these things, we find it quite strange because we don't understand it. Can you please give your verdict on it? So we're going to call Muhammad to come say this in a public square and have your verdict on it. So he came on his camel, and then the recitation started. And then unfortunately, Walid bin Mughira fell from his camel because he was just dazed by the words. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. So he went back home because they were saying, don't disgrace us, how could you just follow the camera, people watching? You can say, well, I'm not going to give my verdict now, I'll come back a few days later. So he went home, and everything that was happening to him in his house, Allah was revealing to the Prophet. ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرَ وَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرُ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا قَوْلُ الْبَشَرِ. So he was pacing in his house. Allah was revealing to the Prophet. Pacing, he was smiling and frowning at the same time. It was pondering, it was in deep thought. And then what he saw, made manifest to him, because he didn't want to come as if he was chickened out, to the grayish Meccan chiefs at the time. So he said, وَقَالَ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرُ. There's nothing but evident magic. إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا قَوْلُ الْبَشَرِ. There's nothing but the words of man. Allah says, سَأُصْلِيهِ سَقَرَ. I will burn him in the fire. That's what Allah is saying. So now the point I'm making is the Quran, even to the Arabs then, was a miracle because it didn't follow. It's like speaking English but not using English rules.
Oh yeah.
That's how the Quran is. And there's no book in the Arabic language up to this very moment that's as effusive as the Quran. None. Matter of fact, if you're an Arab speaker and you speak something called Fusha. Fusha is the grammatical Arabic. Like what's spoken in formal areas and companies and offices. It's different from what they speak in the streets. Fusha is actually based on Quranic grammatic expressions. So the Quran defined the Arabic language for centuries, period.
You mentioned romantic.
Grammatic. I said the Quran is...
Dramatic?
No, not dramatic. I said grammatic.
Okay,
grammar.
Oh,
yeah,
grammar.
The word grammar.
Dramatic.
Right.
For a moment.
Well, it's dramatic too. I mean, there's some interesting topics in there.
Can we say the Quran is being sung?
It's been...
Sung or recited?
It's recited, actually.
Recited.
So there's a difference. I mean, you can't beat a drum to a Quran. You get what I'm saying? Like music, you would do music, for instance.
Basically recitation.
It's recitation.
So it's okay to also enjoy the Quran while you recite it.
Right.
I think it's
Just like you enjoy music?
Yep, not necessarily. But the thing is, here's something interesting.
Yeah.
The Quran is a solace, for the heart.
Yeah.
You get something you listen to and it calms you. You're suffering, going through life, and then you just listen to it and it calms you.
Someone said it's more of an admonishment.
It's an admonishment, but I would say that, but I believe it's much more of a book of arguments. Because the very foundation of the Quran is coming to, prick your intellect and say, think about this. I'm not talking to dummies. Allah says in the Quran, أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يَرَوْنَ بِهَا. These people have got eyes with which they do not see. وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. They've got ears with which they do not hear. وَلَهُمْ أَفْئِدَةٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. They've got minds with which they do not reflect. They say, أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ. These are like animals. بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. They're even worse than animals. Because so the Quran is something that's Allah revealed to really make you think and ponder and reflect. The word ulul albab, the Quran comes over and over again. It's the people of the intellect. But actually, the word albab or lub in Arabic is where they got the English word lobe. So it's a frontal lobe of the brain. Lobe. So lub means ulul albab, people of minds, people who can reason, who can reflect.
All right. He's the producer, the supervising producer. But on this set, we are the kings. So would like to hold your thoughts.
I was really enjoying this, and for a moment I forgot I was on set. Right. Can we do this all the time?
All right, it's great to have you. Thank you so very much for taking time out.
It's an honor to be here. I mean, it feels interesting to be before the camera.
Right.
Behind it,
We always tell our guests, taking time out of your busy schedule. So taking time out of your busy producing us. We'll take a quick break, right?
Yeah, we will take a quick break, and when we come back, Salaam Ummah continues. Don't go anywhere.
Alhamdulillah, welcome to the segment where we discuss personal finance. I wanted to say money, but then, hey, money is involved at all times, because when you discuss personal finance, the word finance automatically brings in, the cash. But anyway, the expert is here. Assalamu alaikum. No, I was just looking for an Arabic word to say, but then I'll think about it later. Good to have you here once again. Yeah, you said, I didn't say it, you said today we're looking at money management system. What exactly is that before we go into the in-depth of it?
Okay, so, wealth creation is not just about earning, it's also about how to manage your wealth. A lot of people today earn a lot, but they're very poor at managing their wealth. And if you can't manage your wealth, you really can't grow a successful financial future for yourself. So that's what we're looking at. And we're going to be talking about a tool that you can use to manage your wealth. And that's the 6 bucket money management system.
6 what?
6 buckets.
Buckets?
Yes.
Like a pail of water?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're going to fill them with all the ideas?
Yeah, inshallah.
Okay, let's have the buckets.
Okay, all right. So what I need you to do for the viewers out there, so take a pen and paper, and then you draw 6 buckets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, so if you're watching, take your pen and your paper, or your pencil if you like, and then start drawing a bucket.
6 buckets. All right. So let's talk about the first one, the first bucket.
All right.
So we'll label this one necessities. Necessities, right?
The first one is necessity.
The first one is necessities. Now, this 6 bucket management system is a useful tool for allocating your income to different expense items, right? Because remember, we had looked at expense prioritization matrix before, and we talked about how to prioritize your expenses, based on wants and needs. Now, this 6 bucket management system is very appropriate for you to be able to allocate your income to different expenses based on current and long-term expenses. Current and long-term expenses. So let's go back to the buckets again. So the first bucket is necessities, right? So what are necessities? Rent, electricity, clothing, feeding, basically all expense items that are critical to survival. We put them in this bucket.
Okay.
And then you apportion, say, about 50% of your monthly income to this bucket. So that's a rule of thumb. If it is lower than that, it's preferable, but it shouldn't be more than 50%. So for your clients who earn 30,000 naira a month, I was going to say 50,000.
It has not gotten to that. We're praying that it gets to that.
Who earn 30,000 naira a month, so they take 50% of 30,000 naira.
That's how much? 15?
50%. So that's 15,000 naira. So ideally, 15,000 naira should be for clothing, electricity, rent, feeding. Ideally.
Come on.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
and
not
that's why you need to
workable.
increase your earning capacity. You get?
And I'm just thinking in my head, 15,000 for all that, that's not workable.
Well, yeah.
In the present economy.
Now, the thing is, in personal finance, it's not about the amount, it's about the habit. Once you get into the habit of doing those things, the moment you start earning 100,000 and 150, 200,000 and 1 million, 2 million, you are already using this tool to manage your wealth. So it's not really about how much you earn now. A student can even be doing this, can use this tool to allocate his income into different expense items. So that's the first bucket. The second bucket is also very important. So the first bucket, again, is necessities. The second bucket is long-term valuable expenses. Long-term valuable expenses, right? The second bucket. And what
valuable expenses.
Yes, long-term valuable expenses. They are expenses that are important but not urgent, right? Under the expense prioritization matrix. So expenses like, if you want to save for Hajj, for example, you want to save for Umrah, you want to save for vacation, or any long-term valuable expenses that you feel you might want to incur in the future. So allocate a percentage of your income to this bucket. So something like 10% should do for this one, talking about the second bucket. And let's move on to the third bucket.
Isn't that more like savings?
No, not savings.
When you say long-term.
Not savings.
Are you, okay.
So
why I said savings is because if they are long-term,
all right.
Are they like serving a long-term purpose,
so when you say
or
savings,
you acquire them in a long-term?
No, when you say savings, you're saying savings towards a particular expense item, right?
Right.
Yeah, but when you say savings to me, for example, I'm thinking in my head investment.
Okay, but before you get those long-term valuable valuable stuff,
expenses. Yeah.
you need to save.
You need to save for them. Yeah, that's the whole essence of
that's exactly
this
what I'm saying.
system.
Okay.
Exactly.
I just wanted to get that right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Perfect. So let's move on to the third bracket. The third bracket is your financial independence account. Your financial independence account, right? So this is where you have allowed investments, allowed mutual funds, or any income-generating assets. Any assets that you want to, acquire that is going to generate income for you in the future. So you allocate a particular percentage to this one. That's what I call, again, financial independence assets, or financial independence account, I beg your pardon. So that's the third one. So
can you say that again, the types? The types of financial
the expenses in this bucket.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have your halal investments, you have halal mutual funds, you have the income-generating assets. Income-generating assets. So it could also be a business, for example.
An example of income-generating assets.
A business. I just mentioned that now.
Business.
Yeah, a business. It could be property. Okay. Anything that is going to bring about income for you in the future.
What about like public transport?
What do you mean public transport? Like a car?
Yeah, a vehicle to transport people.
That will come under the second bracket. Long-term valuable
Long-term valuable. Why wouldn't it come under financial?
If it's going to come under the financial independence account, it would probably be a car
because
that you
mentioned business, so I felt that's a good business.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, if you want that motor vehicle to come on that financial independence account, it probably means that the car is going to be used for transportation. If it's going to be used for Uber or Taxify. But if it's for personal purpose,
no.
put it on that bucket 2.
Yeah.
Because bucket 3 is for financial independence. And don't forget, financial independence is when your assets income exceeds your expenses.
Right.
Passive income exceeds your expenses. Clear now?
Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the fourth one. And this one is also very important. A lot of people neglect it, and that's charity. Charity in Islam is very important. We all know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about charity. Even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam talks about charity. We should give, even if you earn as little as 10,000 naira a month, try as much as possible to give out of it, right? If you give out of what you earn, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you more.
Fun, yeah.
Right?
Like they always say, widows might.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do they use that term?
Say that again?
Why do they use that term? How did that term come to be? Widows might.
Okay, so I guess, let's combine it. So widow. So a widow, is someone whose husband is gone, and she probably doesn't have someone, to depend on for financial, income or what have you. And as we know in Islam, women are usually under the guardianship of a man. Even if the husband is away, like dead, the woman should ideally be under her father's guardianship or the son or brother, and that's why they get, less than the men within the family. So there has to be something that you give out to this kind of people. The fourth one, charity.
Okay.
Yeah, so charity, we all know charity, like you want to feed people, you want to contribute to the construction of a masjid, you want to contribute to the education of an orphan, or other charitable activities that you can think of. So a 10% can do for this. Again, this is a rule of thumb. We aren't saying it has to be 10% or 15% or 50%. But what we're saying basically is try as much as possible to be able to spread your income to all these, different buckets. The fifth one is education. In this day and age.
Charity is 10%.
Yes, 10%.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to copy. All right, so the fifth one?
The fifth one is education.
Education.
Yeah,
okay.
Education.
All right, let's look at the fifth one quickly so that we can round up.
Okay, all right. So in this day and age, the more you know, the more you earn, right? So you need to, invest in yourself, develop your knowledge in certain areas, and of course, sharpen your skills.
Very true.
Very, very important.
So how many percentage do you allocate to
perhaps
that?
Like a 10% should do for that as well.
10%.
Yeah, 10%.
Okay.
And it's very important. All right, so let's look at the last one.
The last one, yes.
And the last one, guess what?
I'm guessing.
Entertainment. So, just have a particular percentage of your income, for this entertainment bucket. So it's important. So 5% would do for that.
Okay.
Again, it's a rule of thumb, right? We're not saying you have to do 5% for entertainment, but it would be very crazy if you do 50% for entertainment and then you're doing 15% for necessities.
But that's the case today, anyway.
Exactly.
I'd like you to hold your thought. Why?
right.
Because if I allow you, we probably would have like 15 buckets now. My producer's telling us to round up, and it's a very interesting segment. That's how it's been. Thank you so much for having time. Tomorrow is another day. Let's do this. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, barakallah. How time flies when you're enjoying yourself. The show is over, just within the twinkle of an eye.
Yeah.
How did it go?
It went perfectly well. Hope you all had fun watching us. And now we say what? We round up and say what?
The other segments included
the
personal finance segment. Interesting.
Why am I in a hurry to go today?
I don't know. Maybe you just want to go.
Yeah.
Personal finance interesting package. Also, the quotes from the Qur'an and the Hadith.
So we see you again tomorrow.
Inshallah.